Thank you so much. And sorry I joined a little premature before. Just very excited to be here. So
I saw you and I kicked you out.
I know. Thank you for doing that. Okay, I have so much to show today and I'm really excited. So I'm going to get right into it. Let me share my screen to give us a primer on where we'll be going. It's so nice to be here. My name is Lauren Fury. I am a principal product manager with Proof. We are also sitting at this really great intersection of how do we solve this tough problem that our recruiters are feeling, our HR leadership is feeling, and also it extends into the IT world. My background is actually, I came to Proof from Lattice, so joining and having built an HRIS, and with full respect and appreciation for the role that the ATSs, that the HRISs play in this sense of how we build an employee continuous identity and awareness of our employee CRM, if you will. So what I want to talk to you about today is how Proof is in respect to those systems and their criticality for our end users, but providing different flexible opportunities for identity verification. I think something else that I'd like to make sure is highlighted here is that we'll be showing how hiring through onboarding our products like Identify, Defend, Verify, as well as our persistent identity capabilities really come together to turn identity into this continuous control layer across your hiring journey, and again, extending into the IT world. As mentioned on some of these other demos, we are seeing this proliferate into different ways. So not only are recruiters having to deal with this up front with a high volume of different resumes being submitted that are either bot generated or intentionally misleading, then there's also synthetic identities that come through, proxy candidates coming through, even manipulated media, as we've seen through some deepfake detection demos today. That real risk is not just a bad hire, it's the unauthorized access, it's insider fraud, it's sensitive data exposure. So this is really where our hiring systems need to be bolstered and where Proof is coming in to do that. So because I have so much to show today, I actually do have a video, so I'll pivot to that screen for us. And I'm going to, I'll talk over this so there's no audio coming through from the video, but what I'm going to be taking you through is that end-to-end experience. So we're going to go from the beginning of an employee providing their resume or applying into the job all the way through into day one. So I'll do my best to talk through it. Please feel free to submit any questions that you might have for clarification purposes. But as you know, at the beginning of that funnel, this is really where we are introduced to that high volume and pressure onto the recruiters. So at the very beginning, what we can do is run a passive identity and pre-screen across all candidates. Now, the applicant doesn't experience friction here, which is great. They're applying normally. But behind the scenes, we're leveraging, as we're going to show here, our Defend risk engine to evaluate those signals that are tied to identity attributes like name, email, phone number, related digital identity markers. So Defend really looks for patterns across the fraud and synthetic identities and anomalous behaviors. And these risk insights can be pushed directly into the ATS or can be given to recruiters for structure. I'm going to pause for just a moment for structured context. So we can write that information, those risk signals, back into the ATS, or that rich information will forever live within Proof under RBAC, under tight control. So making sure that we are not infiltrating or providing bias, I suppose, into the recruiter's workflow. We want to be really conscious of how we do this in a way that's quite intentional. So in that early initial phase, we're really gathering signal, not yet proving identity, and it's allowing the team to triage intelligently without slowing down hiring or putting friction in front of some of your best candidates, right? So at this point, the recruiter can decide who they're moving forward. They can then move either intentionally, so they can decide in the ATS, who am I going to push forward? You're seeing, by the way, production code. This is in Lever. So in Lever, we can either decide, hey, we want to push somebody into a new opportunity stage, which might be identity verification. That can also be automatically triggered once that opportunity stage changes. Here we're going to see actually the candidate experience. So now this candidate is able to go in. They come into Proof. There's obviously a lot of communication here as to this is valid, because we do have to concern over candidates going through this. This is kind of new territory still. And this is really where they enter that structured, secure workflow. What I don't show here is that depending on configuration, this actually could be fully automated, or it can actually fall back to a human in the loop if someone's having a hard time getting through identity verification. So this is where we move into that higher assurance identity. The verification that happens here can be IAL2 level, and the applicant can actually opt to save their identity. Now, this will come back later as a reusable identity record tied to the person, so we can talk about what that looks like downstream. But I think what I'd like to experience or make sure we underscore here is that strong identity proofing doesn't have to feel heavy. So the goal here is really to be in clarity with the client and the candidate, saying, hey, if you go through this, the next step would be that phone screen. So being really crisp about what is going on such that they understand that entire experience. And again, writing results back into the ATS. Now, here's the part where we really see this differentiation from traditional identity. That's me actually on a different demo. But again, production code, this is our product called Verify. You can assume that Kurt Ernst here is our candidate. This is where we see that identity didn't disappear, it's actually persisted, and it can be accumulating trust all the way through into onboarding and I-9. So maybe this is a trusted identity session, maybe it's just another kind of conversation to check that we understand who's there. But once I do prompt as an onboarding specialist or as an agent for the end user to give me their identity, if it's a persisted identity, I'm immediately provided images that they used in that initial identification session, building that through line of, is this who we expect it to be? Also in this session, we are running deepfake detection on Kurt, making sure that he is a live, real person to avoid, again, this kind of synthetic attack that we could be experiencing. And during the session, they can review any number of things: day one logistics, onboarding questions, walking through required employment steps. But they have the opportunity in the tool set to continue to pressure test an identity should that be needed. Now, if you wanted to be running I-9, this is another fabulous way to be doing it, because what it'll ultimately provide is kind of an accumulation of those identity documents in a more secure environment than, say, using a Zoom or a Meet. And it'll be retained alongside the I-9 execution if you decide to use our eSign, products. So that individual persisted identity being referenced and able to be reviewed by the onboarding specialist or one of our agents is huge, again, to define that through line. Now, this tool also allows, again, more advanced options. So, for example, credit card validation. We do have phone possession verification to confirm control of a known device. This is a wonderful tool that can extend more deeply into your business, so such that we can check if there is account recovery needs, if there is the issuance of a new machine or a laptop. We can use this session to make sure that the person is actually the one submitting the request is the same person that we expect it to be from that applicant phase all the way through. So the result of all of this, I'm going to probably skip this credit card validation portion and just kind of bring it to a close. But the result of all of this is that everything from interaction, so identity verification evidence, the session artifacts, any I-9 documentation, that's stored together, building a single defensible identity trail, which can span from that first application through day one and into employment. I think something that we're really excited about here at Proof is that this is just the beginning. We love working with our clients in this space, and we recognize the way in which this is a novel problem for our recruiters in particular to try and solve and be on the front lines of. So empowering them without risking that bias introduction and stopping bad actors while keeping the experience seamless for those legitimate candidates, it's crucial to us, and we're really excited to continue talking about it. So thanks for listening.
Lauren, that was great. I'd love to see the audience reaction.
Yes, well, you're talking about the single identity trail, and of course we know that recruiters are not involved in every single stage of the hiring process. How does Proof actually ensure that the same person is showing up across multiple interviews throughout the hiring process and not tricking one-off interviewers?
Fabulous question. Thank you for asking it. I didn't demo it here, but essentially what we do is when the candidate saves and stores their identity with proof, we can offer a biometric check before allowing them access to either your ATS, to other systems. Another way in which we can do this, depending, and this is the flexibility that I want to underscore about our offering. Another way we could do this is, and we've seen clients apply it this way, is we can also talk about continuity we can build in the ATS. So if your users are running their interviews out of your ATS, if they're using other systems, how do we send information there such that it's built contextually in front of the interviewers so that they can also play a part in making sure that the same person is showing up each time. So we can either go really advanced with biometric, or we can find other ways to kind of empower your workforce.
Yeah, and to follow on to that, like if a candidate along the way fails identity verification at any step, and what does the recruiter just automatically reject that candidate, or how do they intervene?
We have clients that have an array of risk appetite, if you will, for this. So some clients will say that's enough. Alternatively, what we offer is the fallback to what's called a trusted referee. Essentially, what a trusted referee can do is to say, hey, this person is having a really tough time getting through identity verification. That could be due to glare on their ID. It could be due to a selfie where they're wearing their glasses this time. And what the trusted referee is trained and capable of doing to NIST standards is to scrutinize the individual and the identity credentials and say whether or not this is accurate and this person is legitimate or not. So having that human fallback through the proof network is crucial, and I think a huge value add to our offering.
Awesome, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, my Punky Brewster didn't land, but having Kurt in a non-speaking role always works. That's how Kurt. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.